Okay, so I think here we are. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to everyone around the world. And here I am in far north Queensland, part of Australia, in a beautiful part of this world, in a part that is still quite wild, which is what I love about this world. And we are going into the winter time, so this is quite different than the Northern Hemisphere, which is, of course, you are experiencing a beautiful springtime at the moment. But for us up here in this northern part, because it is tropical, our winter means well, this week we've had quite unusual sort of cold temperatures, a cold front, which for us means at night 16 degrees Celsius, and we were a little bit cold. But this is just to say, just goes to show that everything is relative. So basically, every experience that we have, and every everything that we think, everything that we feel is relative to the person that is feeling, to the body that is experiencing those experiences. So there is nothing set in stone, and there is nothing that is hard, or there are no rules that would say this is how it is. In many ways, for some people, this can be scary to not have this kind of rules, this kind of truth set in stone. But for us who are looking for freedom, for us who are wanting to experience this freedom, to realize that everything is changeable, that everything depends on the perspective of a person who is looking at it, who is experiencing it, this is very freeing, because it frees us to experience things in a much more fluid way. It frees us to be able to, melt the conditions, melt the habits, melt anything and everything that has been binding us. So in many, many ways, to realize that everything depends on the perspective of who is looking, is very, very freeing. And so good morning, as I said, and welcome everybody to this show. And welcome and thank you for putting up with, the lighting, for putting up with the setup. I'm working from my home. I've set up everything myself. And it's actually quite a great joy to be doing this. Every month that this time comes, I have a great joy to go to the market and pick the flowers. And as you can see, we've got lots of flowers, lots of fiery flowers today. And when I go and pick the flowers, they sort of jump at me depending on what the energies are. And this time, as you can see, we've got a lot of fire and I've got lots of flowers for the show. And then I couldn't decide which ones to put on. So I thought, well, I'm just going to put all of them on. So we've got, as you can see, yes, a lot of flowers. I do love flowers, and we do love flowers, and we do love the sensuality of the whole experience. We do love the colors. And today we were going to talk about, and as you know us, we are Michaela, and as you can see, the transition is very, very easy, is very, very smooth. It happens in a millisecond. There is no fight, there is no force. We just step forward, Alex steps back, and then when the situation changes, or also in the same situation, for example, we may be talking to someone and we step forward and Alex steps back, and it is just an ease and flow. There is no struggle, there is no fight, there is no thinking required, because all of this happens outside of the mind. All of this happens when you are relaxed, when you allow us, when you allow your own eternal self to be part of your life, to be part of everything that you experience, and to be part of your everyday situations, and to enhance everyday situations, and of course sometimes to make them more challenging as well. And we are going to be talking a little bit about this. We are going to be talking about all of the different situations and all of the different things that you might encounter, that you might experience, that you might struggle with. Because embodiment, what does that really mean? We find that a lot of people are still struggling with that idea. A lot of people sort of looking at this from an old perspective, embodiment simply means that your divinity, your grander self, your eternal self, is part of your everyday life, and it is part of everyday physical experience. So what that means that it is not a theory, it is not an idea, it is not a philosophy. We are not a philosophy. We are real. We are this presence. We are this awareness. We are consciousness. And when we are embodied, it means that we are part of your everyday life, of your details of everyday life, of everyday experiences. There is nothing special that you have to go out and search. There is no excitement. There is no, how should we say, adventure or anything that you have to go out and search in order for us to be present with you, in order for us to be satisfied within you, within your life, within your daily life, within your everyday little experiences, within the intimacy of your everyday life. And yet our presence enhances everything. Our presence makes everything alive. Our presence brings color. Our presence brings sensuality. Our presence brings feelings that you as a human self have never experienced before. Tastes, smells, touch that you have never experienced before. Life, your everyday life becomes very rich. Your everyday life becomes rich in a very sensual way, rich in a very satisfying way. And from there onwards, you can then build and expand. And of course, your life does change, your life grows, because we are not a static being. We are a very dynamic being. We constantly change, we constantly allow the growth, we constantly allow everything to touch us. We do not close ourselves to anything, we do not close ourselves to any experience, and yet we do have our preferences. We do not dabble in how should we say, not in the darkness, but we do not dabble in misery. We do not dabble in suffering. You will notice that if your mind is taking you there, into the suffering, if your mind is taking you into self-pity, if your mind is taking you into feelings of being a victim, we are not so present at that time. And it is not that we go somewhere, it is not that we leave you, it is just that we put our attention somewhere else. We allow every part of ourselves to be just as they are, to choose just as they are. And yet, for you, in a millisecond that you choose that you want a different kind of reality, we are there, we are present, and we allow and we touch you, and we bring with us the expansion. So you can change all your state of consciousness in a very, very quickly. You do not have to go through some, hours and hours and hours of wanting to change how you feel. It can happen in an instant, but you have to practice. You have to practice this in everyday life. And Alex was just pondering on that just the other day as she was chatting with a friend on the internet and talking about all of the preparations that are required, all of the preparations that she needs to do, to go bush. For some people, when she tells them, okay, I'm going bush, it does seem like a simple endeavor, but with Australian bush, that you have to be very present, because there are a lot of creatures in Australian bush that, as you know, can be quite dangerous if you don't know how to deal with it. The heat, a lot of people can affect you in many ways, and at times you may not come out alive. So she has over the years learned how to quickly and easily prepare for it. She's very effective and very efficient now with years of practice of how to pack the car, what to bring with her, where to, what is required as to depending on where she's going. And it is the same with this journey. It is the same with when your human self plays with us. You don't know, as the years pass, you don't realize even just how practiced you, the human self, and us, the eternal self, are in in dealing with this reality, just how practiced and in some ways disciplined you become, and you don't even notice and you don't even realize, except for if you were to talk to someone who is not yet awakened, you would see just how good you become at shifting the realities, just how good you have become at shifting the dimensions, shifting the different rooms that you occupy, just how good you are at being able to enter and in conscious, in some way, make conscious different spaces within you, spaces of these earthly realities. And you don't even notice, and you do it so effortlessly. And we would like to congratulate you, and we would like to bless you in a way, and we would like to love you for all the work that you do, because you don't know how, in some ways, we don't like to use this word special, and yet we are going to use it. You are in this way, in the whole universe, in the whole of creation, just how special you are for allowing yourself to become such a master at being with your eternal self, and being your eternal self, and allowing yourself every single day to dance with your eternal self. Because, dear one, it is not easy. That's why it has been taking centuries, so to speak, and that's why the majority of people are still not allowing the presence of their eternal self, because, as you know, it does require a lot of change. It does require constant growth. It does require a constant expansion of your own self to be able to accommodate the presence that is and has been and always will be. And this presence, as you know, it does not stand still. So how do we integrate this, and how do we help to ease this process, or to ease beingness in the everyday, being like this in the everyday life? So one of the biggest things that we would suggest to play with is, of course, humor, because humor will get you through almost everything. And just this playfulness and the acting, because as you are aware, for most of you, you are aware that you are all and nothing. So you consist of a lot of different parts. You consist of a lot of different aspects. You consist of there are a lot of different voices. We are not singular. And of course, when we come into your reality in a conscious way, we are not singular. We have so many different voices and parts to us. There are many of us. We are many, and we are one. And when you realize that you don't have to battle and fight with all these different parts of yourself, then you can have a lot of fun in your life. You can have a lot of fun in your daily life, and it helps you to navigate this world that you share with people who are sleeping in a much, much more easier way. None of this has to be serious. None of this has to be, how shall we say, yes, you can be playful with this. So what we mean, for example, you will find that as you perhaps step out of, your cave, as you start stepping out of, taking time off for yourself, as you sort of go and join the humanity, the everyday life of humanity, you will notice that in many, many ways, all of your values have changed, but your requirement of space has changed. Your boundaries have changed. Like not drawing upon the energy from everyone else around you, like drawing the energy or being in touch with your own eternal self is your well of all of your being, is your well of all of your energy. So your flow of energy is quite different, as you know, to everyone else around you. So what happens is that your requirement for space does increase. You will find that you may have difficulties sort of dealing with crowds. You may find that you may have difficulties walking just down the street, because you become extremely sensitive to feelings, extremely sensitive to other people's emotions and to other people's energies. And you will find that different energies definitely have, you can sense them not only with your sensual perceptions, but also with your physical perceptions. So what we mean by that is that you can smell energies. You can even taste the energies, and your skin will be able to taste them. And that is not always the most pleasant thing, because majority of people who are not awakened are carrying a lot of war inside. So there you are walking amongst the people, and you are feeling and tasting and touching all of these turbulence, all of these kind of emotions, as we said, that are not pleasant. So you will also find that you will need more space, that you might not be comfortable in big crowds anymore. And you will also find that even if you go to places, for example, you go for a walk where there are other people will notice you unconsciously, will notice that there's something different about you, will notice that they cannot feed upon you, they cannot feed upon your energy. And very often they will try to, it's like poke you, to cause a reaction. And you have to become quite strict and quite uncompromising in how you deal with this. So do not feel, because we come from a part where we're trying to be compassionate and kind to everyone, we're trying to, we're wanting a better world, so to speak, for everyone. And it's not that we're trying to change the world, but we look at everyone with kindness. It can be easy again to put other people first in this way, but it is not what you need to do, because you need to look after yourself first. So there are a lot of different situations where you need to use your humor, and you will find that humor will serve you in everyday life more and more and more, because you can deal with certain situations in a humorous way, or you can react in an angry way. So, for example, the unconscious people will keep doing what they do, being unconscious. They will step over, they will trample your boundaries. They do not get bodily clues. They do not get other clues that you're trying to give them. So you have to be very strict, and you have to be very strong in this way to preserve your boundaries. And you can use your humor, like Alex has used a lot of the times, because in many ways it doesn't really, you stop worrying about what other people think about you. And it is something that you need to become comfortable with, that you are different in this way. You are very, very different than the unawakened people. And we're not going into better or worse, but we do look at how things are. So you are quite different. And you will notice that people do notice, whether they're conscious about it or not conscious about it. And people will try to plug into what you have, instead of getting in touch with their own eternal self. They will try to plug into you. So you need to be able to be very strong, and whether it is with your friends from before, whether it is just from strangers on the street, whether it is from anybody, you need to be able to say no. You need to be able to keep your boundaries in this way. So what we are saying is that we're back to where we started. It is the humor. So for example, you don't need to anymore try to explain to people who you are. You don't need to try to make them understand. You don't need to go into any great discussions, because out of a sense of responsibility. For example, what Alex has done is, when she needed a space and someone would go into her space, she would just say, please go away, I'm autistic, or something like that. You see, you can play with a lot of different things. And because it doesn't matter what other people in this way think of you, you can just act to make it easier, and you can do things to make everyday life more joyful, and everyday life easy. So you don't have to be serious about things. You don't have to even explain your friends from before. You don't have to go into any of the explanations. You can just be. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to justify yourself to anybody. And you will find that this will release a lot of energy and a lot of worry and a lot of concern, where you can just play like this. You can just be. You can just take on. You can just ask all these different parts of you to come to your aid, to be you for those few seconds, to be you for those few minutes. And in this way, you turn your day into a playful event rather than going around being angry, rather than going around being frustrated, rather than going around experience all those other emotions and feelings that may not be as pleasant. You see, this is what we're saying, that it's every single day, life of the every single day is what is changing with our presence. And when you become lighter, when you become humorous, when you can laugh at yourself, when you can laugh at others, when you are freed of the conventions, and when you are freed of all these etiquettes in this way as to how to behave, who to be, what to be, then you are free to just play throughout your day. Then you are free to do a lot of different experiences that you otherwise would not have allowed yourself to be or to do. And I think at the moment, just Alex has realized that she may not have pressed the record button. Ah, no, she has. Ah, there we go. No worries, Alex. It's all good. Okay, so this is what we mean. There's a lot of things that will happen during the day, and you can just laugh at it and move on, or you can be stuck. You can get stuck into the whole emotional frustration or anger about it. And it just all depends on the choices that you make. And it all depends on how you approach your day, because deciding to stay in this reality, as we said before, it is a very challenging thing. And you can make it a playful thing. You can make it a humorous thing if you play in this way, if you act in this way, if you utilize all of the different things that you have at your disposal, because we are at your disposal. Your whole self is at your disposal. All parts of you are at your disposal. We would also encourage you to play with this, because it will open up so many different potentials. It will open up so many different possibilities to you, because it's not only that you'll be able to navigate your everyday life with much ease and grace and humor. It is also that it can assist you with, for example, let's say learning something. If you want to learn, if you want, let's say, take up and learn a new instrument, you can call upon us. You can call upon your own parts that have in the past life, future lives, in any other lives, played music, that are involved with music. And you will find that you can almost download this information, and it will help you. It will enable you to master the instrument, to enjoy the instrument much, much sooner. So we've given you some examples, but it is you practicing, enjoying your life, enjoying your everyday experiences, making your everyday experiences enjoyable in this way. Explore your life, explore yourself, explore your own parts. You know, we very often those people on this path can be because you initially, when you're awakening, and afterwards you have to integrate, you have to release. And there's a lot of times that those parts that have been part of the shadow come. So it can feel that, oh wow, there's just all these strong emotions, negative emotions. There are all these different parts that have all these uncomfortable feelings. It can feel that that's all you're doing, just dealing with all these uncomfortable parts. But when you realize the other side of this, that you have all of these different parts at your disposal, then there is no limit to your life. There is no limit to what you can do. There is no limit to who you can be, because it is you deciding in every moment who you're going to be. So, for example, you can today decide, okay, I'm going to play a big conductor, a famous conductor, and you go around your world and see what that feels like and play with people. And as we said, you're not obliged and you're not obligated to be just this one person that you have known yourself to be all your life. You can play anybody, because all of these parts are yourself. It is not that you're pretending to other people. It is not that you are lying or just being this fake self. This is not the case, because we, as we said, we are multidimensional, multifaceted. We are all these parts, and so are you, the human self, because this is mainly who we are addressing in these programs. It is the human self, you, the valued, the loved, the much, much, much beloved human self, the courageous human self that has decided and has said yes, and has to constantly every day say yes to this. And this is how also your everyday can be unlimited. Your every single day can be exciting. Your every single day can be filled with adventure. And you don't even have to go anywhere. You don't have to move. You don't have to travel. You don't have to absolutely do anything, because while you're sort of going through all of these experiences, you do want your space, you do want your place, you do want your, your playground to be, and all of those other things. You will grow into them, and you can do them also. We're not saying don't do them, but we are addressing your everyday life, which consists of everyday things, of little things. It consists of your home, it consists of your immediate environment. And as you allow us to be in that space with you, and your playfulness and your humorous self will allow us, this is what will allow us to be with you throughout your day, throughout your experience. And this is how we are of assistance to you, and you will see how your everyday life becomes very enjoyable. So you can wake up and you can look forward to your day, and you don't actually have to do anything special. You can just sort of get up, brush your teeth, go around your morning as you do, make your coffee, make your breakfast, and yet everything is very sensual, everything becomes very playful, everything becomes very colorful. And you will find that you will keep adding so many different things, and you will keep changing your reality, and you will keep playing with your reality in the most beautiful ways, in the most surprising ways. So for Alex, for example, she's made her home full of color, full of flowers outside. She's planted all the different herbs that every time she goes past, they release this beautiful scents. So every single day, every single experience is very sensual. There's different textures, there's different feelings to it. And there is a juicy slowness to doing everything. There is a juicy slowness to drinking coffee, for example. And this is what makes everything so, so enjoyable, so, so full, so, so rich, so blessed. And it is all your every single day experiences that enhance, that change, that become dynamic, that you start valuing them, that are infused with honor, with grace, with feelings of love, with feelings of sensuality. And this is embodiment meaning that it is physical, it is here, it is right now, it is in this moment, moment by moment by moment. And all of life will reflect that. All of life responds to that. All the birds, all the animals, all the creatures respond to that. All the plants respond to that, to this to this oh, okay, we're looking for the right words, to being so bold, to being so without boundaries, to being so open, to playing, to exploring, to just being excited by life, to being thrilled by life, by every single experience. And then all of that will grow into more and more and more, because there are no rules. There, you go into a space where the conventions, the human rules, the etiquettes, all of that falls apart, because all of those are made, you will find that they're made to keep you trapped. They are made to keep you in your habits. They're made to keep you in certain behaviors. They're made to keep you a good, obedient human being that does not question things, that does not allow herself, himself, to be all of who they are, that does not allow himself or herself to step out of these constrictions. So we invite you to play with your life in this way, because this kind of attitude makes it so much easier for us, your internal selves, to be part of your life, because this is how we are. We are playful, we are humorous, we can be serious if we want, but definitely we can be very, very naughty, we can be very humorous. We like to play with life, and so do you. And if you allow us in, we can play with you forever. We can play with you. And this is this kind of enhancement of your life, this kind of ease and grace, this kind of joy just in being, just in doing everyday things, will allow you to navigate your everyday life in a way that it was meant to be navigated, in a sensual way, in an expansive way, in a joyful way. And in this way, you do help other people. Not that this is what you should be doing, but because it is not, they are used to seeing people that are serious. They are used to seeing people that are locked into so-called contracts of how to behave, of who to be, of who they are, the singular being that they think they are. This is how your energy, your presence, your radiance helps them the most, because it is not your words that make the change, dear ones. It is your radiance, it is the presence that you allow that make the greatest change to other people, and that can give other people the potentials. So in this way, you are released from so many things, so many conventions, so many human ways of doing and being, and be bold and be courageous and be adventurous with this and play. And you will see, every day you can step over another boundary. And this is also what we would like to then speak next about, is allowing and processing. What we often you hear about a word, stop processing, but what does that actually mean? How do you know when you're processing and when you're allowing? How do you know when you're processing your emotions, and how do you recognize when you're when you're trying to work from your mind, or when you're stepping into your allowance? So for example, let's say if you do take your time, if you take your time for yourself, let's say something's coming up, something needs to be integrated, something's presented itself for the integration, and you take your time away. You go into your relaxed place, whether you lie down, or you're sitting under a tree somewhere, you're lying somewhere in nature, or you're lying in your bed or your sofa, you're in a relaxed place in your space of your own self. And you will notice that when you are processing, it is a very, very different feeling, and you will become very proficient at this, at recognizing the difference between processing and allowing. Because when you are processing, you will find that there is a definite loop, there is a circle, there is actually no stepping outside. So what happens is that let's say an emotion comes up, an emotion that wants to be released, And then your mind is very happy to remind you of, to bring all of the different experiences that will feed that emotion to keep going. So you may feel like, wow, I'm really releasing this, but if you allow your mind just to keep giving you the ideas of experiences that feed this emotion, you can find yourself in an hour's time in exactly the same place, in exactly the same loop, because the emotion, you start feeling the emotion, the mind will keep feeding you with all of the different experiences and pictures that has stored of the past that will feed that emotion, that will keep it going, and you will feel like you're releasing, but it's not really releasing. It is in the loop of being fed. It is in the loop of no resolution, because it is a closed loop. And when you are allowing, you can, if you find yourself in that closed loop of memories, of memory after memory after memory that feed a particular emotion, that awaken similar emotions that are interacting with that particular emotion, all you have to do is stop, call upon your eternal self, and allow. Take a deep breath, take a few deep breaths, and allow your eternal self to infuse this closed loop. And this is how you step out of it, because your eternal self is not within this closed loop. Your eternal self is outside of it. And your eternal self then touches upon the source of this broken emotion. It touches upon the part of you that is suffering, that is calling for your attention through this emotion. But it doesn't work through memories, it doesn't work through pictures. It works in the now moment, because you will be in the now moment with that part of yourself that was trying to release through that emotion. And there won't be any memories. It will just be experienced. It might be an experience of pain. There might be an experience of all of the different things. And you will start feeling the movement in a particular part of your body. And that part, that energy will release, because your eternal self will infuse that part, will step into. It feels as if it's like there are rooms of yourself. And when this is happening, when your eternal self is infusing the part that has maybe never been infused, the part that has never touched eternal self, the part that has never known love, you will feel as if your eternal self is stepping into a new room of yourself. So it's a new area, it's a new space of yourself where the eternal self has never been. And this is what it means to become conscious. This part that was closed to love is becoming conscious, because it's being infused with your eternal self. And there are no memories, there are no pictures, there are no stories. It can happen in a few seconds. And you don't need few hours to process this. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to have any memories. You don't need to call upon your mind to assist with this process. All you do is you're allowing. It's like, imagine if you were a dry soil that is allowing water to touch it, to go through it, to infuse it. There are no stories required. There are no victim feelings required. And it just becomes so easy. It becomes so almost joyful. It becomes exciting when you can do this, because you feel your own mastery in this. Because when you are allowing, when this part of yourself is allowing self-love, eternal self to come in, it is changed forever. It is not in a loop. It is no longer in the circle. It is no longer running like a like a hamster on a wheel, because eternal self has infused it. Eternal self has forever changed that part. And this is how you then permanently allow the change. You permanently affect the change within part within rooms of your own self that has never known love. And there are no more closed loops. There are no more closed circuits. It is a spiral that can actually lead you, that leads your path out of that that stuckness, that closed loop that kept you stuck. And you will also find, as you are allowing and as you are exploring parts of yourself in this way, the so-called rooms, you will of course notice how big you are, just how enormous, vast. There is no end to your own self as you explore, as you allow yourself as you infuse yourself in this way. You will also come at a certain times, you will come to what we call, and Alex calls, gatekeepers, because there are certain places that you'll find there are certain energies that feel as if there is someone there keeping the gate closed, trying to prevent you from entering those particular rooms, those particular parts of yourself. And how they feel, those gatekeepers, they feel extremely uncomfortable, because it is their purpose, it is their nature to try and keep you away from entering certain parts of yourself. And those kind of experiences can be very vivid. And there are also the experiences that keep many people within the boundaries of where they are, the boundaries of what they know, who they know themselves to be, because these gatekeepers feel so uncomfortable. But what you will find, that if you allow yourself to breathe through that uncomfortable feeling, you will find out that they actually have no power, because before that they will feel scary, they will feel big, of course uncomfortable, and it is their purpose to keep you away, keep you from entering through certain gateways of yourself. And when you breathe through them, you will see that there is actually nothing of them. They are not gigantic, they are not scary. They can feel quite uncomfortable, but when you decide to, I'm going to take that deep breath, and you breathe through them, you will notice they dissipate very, very quickly. And you will have entered in another part of yourself that was unconscious before. And then we go through the same process, so to speak, of you allowing your own eternal self, of you allowing yourself as an eternal self to enter, to infuse those areas, to change those areas forever, to bring that openness, to melt the walls of where this part was locked in, of where this part was stuck. And this is how you can work through with your stuck places and infuse yourself and unstuck yourself. And it is a big, so to speak, job. It is a big work to keep doing that, because as energies are releasing from Earth, and they will connect as they are releasing from Earth, and as you are part of this, you have been part of this continent, you have been part of this globe, you have been part of Earth for such a long time. So these energies will find a corresponding parts within you, and it is easy to sort of go there and to feel stuck. And we have just given you another way to come out of those places, to not process, but to actually allow and melt your walls and walk through any gates and walk through any of your walls. And in this way, you find that, as we said initially at the beginning of the program, that everything is meldable. There are no hard walls. There are no permanent walls. You can create them to play games. You can create them in a good way, because let's say you perhaps decide to play within a certain room that needs a wall, or within a certain garden of yourself inside that needs a wall. As long as you know, because at the same time now with consciousness, you are aware that it is just a temporary situation. So in this way, you are not afraid anymore to enter anywhere. You can enter any situation, you can enter any energy, you can enter any stuck place, you can enter anywhere, because the walls, they don't exist anymore for you, or at least not for in any permanent way, because you know how to melt them, you know how to walk through them. So you are a magician in this way. And as you practice and practice and practice, that even though you may get stuck, you may get pulled in to a certain situation, you may start identifying, but it will only happen for a very short time. And even if it happens for a couple of weeks, for a few weeks, it doesn't matter. When you realize, it is just very, very easy to step out of it. It's very easy to step through those walls. It's very easy to just melt them, because none of these things will keep you in. None of these things have any power over you to keep you imprisoned, have any power over you to keep you stuck. And your deep breath will always serve you. As long as you're alive, deep breath will always serve you to walk through, to allow, to imbue, to embody, to walk through any and all of the walls. Okay, so some water. Wow. So it's amazing how quickly the hour goes, but we have had so many things to share with you, to discuss with you. And it is not, as you know, it is not the words that do this. It is the radiance. It is the so-called third language that does all of this. And we do distract you with the words, and we play with your mind a little bit also with the words. And we wanted to share all of these things with you because we are aware, because we are here, we walk with you, we talk with you, we experience this physical reality with you. And there are so many things releasing. The mass consciousness, there's so many things happening with with people, with Gaia, with everything. So this way will help you, will allow you to playfully navigate, to playfully enjoy your life despite of anything else that is happening in your world. And there will be more things happen in the next couple of decades. So many things will happen, as you can imagine, and as you know, so many things will come up for release. But it does not have to touch you. You can have your life and enjoy it in every day, in every little experiences of everyday life. And they can be as grand and as small as you want, because there is no judgment in this way, you see. There is no judgment of whether you're experiencing just enjoying making a beautiful meal in your kitchen at home, or whether you're out there somewhere in a beautiful part of the world, or you're in a beautiful part of nature, or whether you're in some big city enjoying what the big cities have to offer, because the whole world is your stage. The whole world is a playground. And play, dear ones. Enjoy. Be joyful with every single little thing that you do. Enjoy it. Transform it, transmute it, and change it by allowing us to be part of it. By allowing every moment to be the moment, to be the now moment, to be the most enjoyable, most expansive moment ever, because it is your moment. It is the only place where you can be. It is the only place where you are. It is the only place where you are in touch with your real world. Because when you are in your mind in the future, or where you are in your mind playing with your past, so-called past, you're out of touch with your reality. And your reality is your immediate reality. It is the reality that your senses can touch. It is your reality that your skin touches. It is a reality that your nose can smell, your eyes can see. It is not the ideas of the future. It is not the ideas of the past. And this is how you can quickly remind yourself of where you are. Are you in touch with your reality? Which literally means being in touch, being here, being present in the now moment with your joyful reality, or whether you are in your mind thinking about the future, worrying about the past, worrying about the future. And we know that you know all of this. So we are just reminding you, we are playing with you. We are very playful today. We're very humorous way with you today. And we just felt that it is just the right time, the right place to be like this, to remind you to laugh, to remind you to enjoy your life, because this is what you are here for. And yes, maybe you will change the world by being here in your radiance. Maybe you won't. It doesn't matter. The main thing is moment by moment of your enjoyment, moment by moment of being present, moment by moment of radiating, of experiencing your life as it is, in joy, in sensuality. Okay, so I think we might have a look at whether we have some questions. We do have a question. Okay, greetings. I have noticed that I tend to want to explain myself just to keep peace and flow between myself and those that are serving me. There is this part of me that strives for harmony in my human interactions, especially with the ones that are playing a role in anchoring my dreams into the physical. It seems that sometimes just a little explanation will put them at ease and make life easier. Much gratitude for your insights and big hugs. And big hugs to you, dear one, as well. And yes, you use your own experience, use your own judgment, use your own way of being with people. We have given you some examples today just to open up to all the different potentials, just to open up of how you can do, of what you can do. But yes, what you, every one of you, each one of you, what is your way of doing is the best way of doing it. So your own judgment, your own discernment, your own being in the world, your own being with those around you, your own being with those people that love you, that you love, that you interact with, is your best way to navigate this any situation, this world. So use your judgment as to how much to explain, as to what to explain, how to talk, because you are the only and the best person that knows the best for each and every situation of your life, for each and every situation and person that touches you or that you touch, as to how this as to how the relationship will go, as to how you want to experience this, how you want to experience the relationship. So as we said, we want to point out that there are absolutely no rules. You are in a place where there are no rules. You still may think that there are rules, but you don't have the rules. You don't have to abide by any rules. So use your own judgment and your discernment and your choice as to how you are going to interact with anybody. So whether you explain yourself or whether you don't explain yourself depends on every single, every single different situation. What we were giving you examples of today, it's just that you can be much more playful, that you have allowed yourself. And as you explore this playfulness, and as you try and test and explore all the different ways that you can be, and as you call upon all the different parts of yourself and be with people, you will be in a very joyful place. You will be in a very fun place. And people will enjoy interacting with you. People will become open with you. And you can experience all these different ways of being with people. So, and yes, of course, you can explain as much as you like, and you can explain as little as you like. And you are not obligated to explain to anybody anything. You are not obligated to explain yourself, but you also can. So it is you yourself know. You have the knowing within yourself. You have the knowing how to deal with everybody. And there is a reason why that person is with you. There is a reason why they are in your life, why you are in their life. Because you are the most perfect person for them at that moment, and they are the most perfect person for you at that moment. And that's why don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Do not go with do not go into situations with preconceived ideas. You don't even have to practice. You don't even have to think about what you're going to say, because you will find that as you are present in that moment, all of your senses, all the parts of you will give you the best course of action. And if some funny things happen, as we said, use your humor and move on, because it doesn't have to be serious. Nothing has to be serious, because a lot of the things, a lot of things do happen, and being playful can be another and a good alternative in a way, and a help to help you deal with every single situation or some situation, and play with this, experience and explore. And it is what also gives you the joy in life. It makes every single situation, it makes every single encounter with another person exciting, because you don't know how it's going to play out. You don't know what will happen. You don't know where it's going to go. When you allow yourself to be open, when you allow yourself to be playful, and you also allow us to be present with you in the situation, because it is very, very easy for us to play with you, to play through you, to play as you, when you are in a playful mode, when you are in a humorous mode, when you are in a mode where you can just allow all these different parts, all these different players to be with you in every situation. And you will know how to deal with people, and you do know how to deal with people. You already are a most wondrous and most loving and most calming person in so many different people's lives, and you make a difference to so many different people in all walks of life that you touch, that your radiance touches. And you will see that more and more and more people come into your life to be touched by you, to be touched by your blessings, to learn from you, to learn from your wisdom, and to just be with you. So please, dear one, do not limit yourself to anything, because you know how to deal with situations, you know how to deal with people, and you know how to be with people. And you are a true blessing to a lot of people. And as each and every one of you, and each and every one of us, you have no idea what a blessing you are to everyone that you encounter, to everyone that you meet. And depends on each and every person that you meet, how much or how little they take from that encounter, because you open up lots of their potentials, and all they have to do is say yes, if they are in the space where they can say yes. And if they are not, do not worry, because it is not your responsibility. They will be, one day they will be. They may have to live a few more lives, just like you have. It is something that they have chosen. It is the path that they have chosen, and it is what their human self and their eternal self are working on. So there really is nothing that you need to worry about anymore. And dear one, there is also, you do not have to worry. Also, give yourself experiences of where you are tough with people. You can be tough in a way. What we mean is that you can say no. Give yourself experiences where you don't have to always just be nice and appear kind. Give yourself experiences of what about if you are rude. And we don't mean for you to go around and be rude to people. But when people are stepping over your boundaries, when people are not acting towards you as what you feel that when they are overstepping their boundaries, give yourself permission to be rude. Give yourself permission to even maybe swear. Give yourself permission to be rough, to call upon those parts of yourself that you know, that are different to what as a woman you are and you were expected to be like. And you will see this is a very, very freeing. And you're not going to go around hurting people, because none of you are in that space anymore where you can go around hurting people. But to have your boundaries and to be living in this world, you do need to call upon all of the parts that can swear, all of the parts that can be angry, all of the parts that are uncompromising. Because the parts that are uncompromising, you will find they are not polite to everyone. You will find they are not nice to everyone. And you will find that there is no need to be that way at all times. It just requires of you to be present, and all of the different parts of you are available to you to call upon, and they can act on your behalf in a different situation depending on what the situation calls for. All right, thank you very much, dear one, and we'll have a look if we have 2 more questions. Okay. We have Hola Chica, and I say hello to you as well. And another dear one, we say hello to you and we greet you. And we want to say to you, dear one, enjoy your life, enjoy yourself, because you are a true blessing to everyone that you meet as well. You are a true blessing to life. Your talents, your experiences, your being, who you are is a true blessing. And everything that you touch and everything that you look upon, that you gaze upon, is blessed by your presence, is blessed by your radiance. And we wish that you can recognize this, and we wish that you can recognize and acknowledge your own grandness. And we wish that you see, when you look in a mirror, that you see through the eyes and with the eyes of your eternal self, and that you see upon yourself, that you gaze upon yourself with the eyes, the way that we see you, with the eyes of love, with the eyes of honor, with the eyes of respect for who you are, for what you are, for the courage that you have, for the courage that you have to go into the places that some people haven't gone, into the places of some dark places, that you have the courage to go in order to bring your radiance, in order to bring light there, in order to bring hope there. And you are loved beyond measure, dear one. And we say thank you to everyone today. And we will just check whether we have any more questions. No, we think we are okay with everything. Yeah, I think that's it. So we would like to say thank you to each and everyone present, whether you're watching this now or later. We feel you, we dance with you, we are in joy with you, and we are very excited with all of the things that you are doing, with all of the things that you are being, with all of your radiance, with all of your courage, with all of your playfulness. And we play with you, and we walk with you, and we dance with you. And we look forward to every moment, and we look forward to every next moment that we are going to experience, that we are going to dance, that we are going to play in. And blessings, dear ones.